Embrace the most important spiritual practice to live in the moment and find profound clarity. We begin our journey with a simple truth: life unfolds in moments. Yet so often, we miss them. Have you ever found yourself lost in thought? Unable to recall the taste of your meal, the words of a friend, or the beauty of a sunset you've seen 1,000 times? This script is not just about reclaiming those moments, it's about discovering how to live within them fully, with profound clarity and a sense of purpose that transcends the ordinary. Together, we'll explore the most transformative spiritual practice for living in the now. Imagine this: you wake up tomorrow with no memories of yesterday, no expectations of the future, just the present moment. What would you see, feel, experience? Pause for a moment and consider this deeply. The answer to this question is the foundation of living in the moment. To live in the now requires more than mindfulness, it demands a shift in how we perceive reality. This shift starts with observation. Look around you. What do you see? Not the labels you've attached to objects: a chair, a tree, a screen, but the raw essence of their existence. The chair's texture, the tree's rhythm as it sways, the screen's subtle hum. How often do we truly see what's in front of us? Here lies the paradox: the present moment is always with us. Yet it's the hardest to grasp. Why? Because our minds are wired to flee it. We chase after the future with its promises of success, security, and happiness. Or we cling to the past, replaying its regrets, pains, and fleeting joys. The present moment, however, asks nothing of us except that we be. Yet, simply being can feel like the most demanding task of all. Take a deep breath with me now. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. What did you notice? Did the air feel cool entering your nostrils, warm as it left? Did your chest rise and fall? Or did your mind wander? This is the practice we'll return to repeatedly, anchoring ourselves in the body, in breath, in presence. Let me share a story. There was once a monk who traveled to a bustling city to teach the art of living in the moment. His students asked, "Master, how can we find peace in the chaos?" The monk smiled and picked up a glass of water. He said, "Do you see the water's stillness? You cannot still it by force, but set it down, and the ripples will cease on their own." The lesson is clear: the present moment cannot be forced, it must be allowed. But how do we allow the present when life constantly pulls us in different directions? We must cultivate presence. And presence is not passive, it's an active engagement with what is, without judgment or resistance. When pain arises, we acknowledge it. When joy visits, we welcome it. When confusion clouds us, we sit with it, observing its edges until it dissolves. Now, a question for you: what is the heaviest burden you carry that keeps you from living in the present? Is it fear of failure? A relationship? The weight of expectations? Reflect deeply, for this awareness is the first step to liberation. The most important spiritual practice for living in the moment begins here: acceptance. Acceptance does not mean complacency. It means seeing reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Imagine standing in a river, feeling its current. You cannot stop the flow, but you can choose how you stand within it. Will you resist the current, exhaust yourself fighting it, or let it guide you, trusting its path? Acceptance is powerful because it transforms our relationship with time. Instead of resisting the present, we align with it. This alignment is the key to profound clarity. When you accept the present moment fully, your mind quiets, and a deeper knowing arises. You begin to see not with the eyes but with the soul. A practical way to practice acceptance is through intentional gratitude. Each morning, before you rise, name 3 things you're grateful for, not in general but in detail. I'm grateful for the softness of my pillow. I'm grateful for the taste of the coffee I'll have. I'm grateful for the sound of the rain outside. Gratitude anchors you in the now because it shifts your focus to what is rather than what isn't. But acceptance and gratitude are only the beginning. To truly embrace this spiritual practice, you must confront a deeper truth, the ego. The ego thrives on keeping you out of the present. It whispers, "You're not enough. You need more." The ego feeds on comparisons, on scarcity, on separateness. It cannot survive in the fullness of the now because the present moment reveals your wholeness. When was the last time you felt truly whole? Was it as a child? Before the world taught you who you should be? Or perhaps in a fleeting moment of connection with nature? A loved one? Or even yourself? These moments are glimpses of the truth: you are already enough. Living in the now means returning to this truth again and again. Let me ask you another question. If you stripped away all your roles, parent, professional, friend, what remains? Who are you when there's nothing left to achieve or prove? Sit with this question. As uncomfortable as it may be, the answer will guide you closer to the present. As we conclude this part, remember, living in the now is not a destination but a practice. It is the art of returning, again and again, to what is real. In the next part, we will dive into a practice so profound that it has been described as a doorway to eternity. This practice will challenge your perceptions and illuminate your path with clarity. Are you ready to continue? The doorway to eternity: how surrender unlocks timeless clarity. As we continue, let us delve deeper into the most transformative practice of all, surrender. The word itself can feel daunting. To surrender sounds like giving up, doesn't it? But in the spiritual sense, surrender is not about defeat. It is about release. It is the act of unclenching your fists, loosening your grip on control, and trusting in the flow of life. Take a moment to reflect. How often do you resist what life presents? When things don't go as planned? When obstacles arise? Do you fight them? Blame them? Try to force them into alignment with your desires? What if, instead of resistance, you chose surrender? What if you leaned into the discomfort, trusting it as part of a greater unfolding? Surrender begins with a profound truth: you are not in control. Consider the countless factors that shaped your existence before you were even born: the alignment of the stars, the meeting of your ancestors, the conditions that brought life to earth. Even now, your heartbeat, your breath, the rotation of the planet, all happen without your intervention. Life moves through you, not because of you. Realizing this is the essence of surrender. But how do we surrender in a world that values control? The answer lies in shifting from the mind to the heart. The mind craves certainty. It seeks to map the future, analyze the past, and categorize the present. The heart, however, operates differently. It flows. It feels. It trusts. To surrender is to live from the heart. To allow intuition to guide you rather than intellect alone. Let me share a story. There was a traveler who carried a heavy backpack filled with everything they thought they might need: tools, clothes, food, even rocks they thought might be valuable. The weight slowed them down, and soon they could no longer move. A wise sage appeared and said, "Why do you carry what you do not need?" The traveler hesitated. "But what if I need it later?" they asked. The sage smiled and replied, "You are so focused on the future that you cannot take a single step in the present. Leave what burdens you, and you will find your path." What burdens are you carrying? What would happen if you set them down? Even just for a moment. Would you lose something, or would you gain freedom? Surrender is not passive. It is not a resignation to fate. It is an active choice to trust the present moment. To align yourself with the flow of life rather than fighting against it. Think of a surfer riding a wave. They do not control the ocean, they work with its energy. They surrender to the wave. Yet their surrender is dynamic, skillful, and attuned. Here is a practice for surrender. Sit in stillness. Close your eyes. Bring to mind something you're struggling with, a decision, a conflict, a fear. Notice the tension it creates in your body. Now, as you exhale, imagine that tension dissolving. Whisper to yourself, "I let go. I trust." Repeat this as often as needed. And notice how the struggle begins to shift. It may not disappear, but it loses its power over you. Now, let me ask you, what would your life look like if you surrendered fully to the present moment? Would it be chaotic? Or would it be peaceful? Would you lose control? Or would you find freedom? The practice of surrender also invites us to confront a deeper fear, the fear of uncertainty. We live in a world that idolizes plans, schedules, and predictability. Yet life itself is inherently unpredictable. What if, instead of fearing uncertainty, you embraced it? What if you saw it as a blank canvas? An invitation to co-create with the universe? Uncertainty is not the absence of something, it is the presence of possibility. To surrender to it is to open yourself to life's infinite potential. It is to say, "I do not know what will come, but I trust that it will be exactly what I need." In surrender, clarity arises. When we release our grip on the future, the fog of worry lifts, and we can see the present with startling clarity. This clarity is not intellectual, it is experiential. It is the deep knowing that arises when you are fully present, fully alive. Here's another story to guide you. A student once asked their teacher, "How can I find clarity?" The teacher handed them a jar filled with muddy water and said, "Shake this jar." The student shook it, and the mud swirled, clouding the water. The teacher said, "Now set it down and wait." Slowly, the mud settled, and the water became clear. The teacher smiled and said, "Clarity comes not from doing but from being still." Let us pause here for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the stillness within you. In this stillness, can you sense the clarity waiting to emerge? Surrender is not just about letting go, it is about letting be. It is about allowing life to unfold without interference. Trusting that even the challenges are part of your growth. This trust transforms your relationship with reality. You no longer see obstacles as threats but as opportunities to deepen your practice. Now, another question for you: what would happen if you stopped resisting your current circumstances? If you accepted them fully, just as they are, what would shift within you? As we conclude this part, remember, surrender is the doorway to eternity because it frees you from the illusion of time. When you surrender, you are no longer bound by the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. You are fully alive in the eternal now. In the next part, we will explore how to embody this practice in your daily life, transforming ordinary moments into profound experiences of presence and clarity. The alchemy of everyday life, turning the mundane into the sacred. We now enter the heart of the journey, learning to embody the profound truths of presence and surrender in daily life. Here, The spiritual becomes tangible, and the mundane transforms into the sacred. This is the alchemy of everyday life, a practice that allows you to live each moment with reverence, clarity, and joy. Consider your typical day. How many moments do you live with full awareness? When you wake up, do you feel the texture of the sheets against your skin? The rhythm of your breath? The subtle sounds of the world awakening? Or does your mind race ahead, planning, worrying, and striving? This is the first key to alchemy, bringing awareness to the unnoticed. Awareness transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. When you wash your hands, notice the sensation of water flowing over your skin. Its temperature, the way it catches the light. When you eat, truly taste your food. Feel its texture, savor its flavors, and honor the nourishment it provides. Let me ask you a question: if every moment of your life were a gift, how would you treat it? Would you rush through it, distracted? Or would you cherish it as something irreplaceable? The practice of presence is not confined to meditation or spiritual retreats, it is woven into the fabric of daily life. This is where the true spiritual work begins. Presence is not just about awareness but also about intention. Ask yourself, what energy do I bring to this moment? Am I approaching it with gratitude, curiosity, or resistance? The energy you bring shapes your experience. Let's explore this further. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You could choose frustration, letting impatience consume you. Or you could choose presence, noticing the colors of the cars around you, the patterns of movement, the play of light on the road. You could take this moment to breathe deeply, to reflect, or simply to be. Which choice would make the experience more meaningful? This is the second key to alchemy, choosing your response. Life will present you with challenges, but your power lies in how you respond. When you respond with presence and acceptance, you transform even the most difficult moments into opportunities for growth. Another practice to bring sacredness to the mundane is ritual. Rituals are not about grand gestures, they are about infusing meaning into simple actions. Consider how you start your day. Could you begin with a moment of gratitude, lighting a candle, or setting an intention for the hours ahead? These small acts ground you in the present and remind you of the sacredness of life. Here's a story to inspire you. There was a farmer who tended to his fields with great care. Each morning, before planting seeds, he would kneel and touch the earth, whispering words of gratitude for its nourishment. Neighbors often mocked his ritual, saying, "You waste time with your ceremonies." But the farmer's fields were always the most abundant. When asked about his secret, he said, "I do not just grow crops, I grow a relationship with the earth." What rituals could you create to honor your own life? How might these rituals shift your perspective, turning routine tasks into meaningful experiences? As you move through your day, remember that every moment is an opportunity to practice presence. When you speak with someone, listen fully. Look into their eyes, hear their words, and feel the energy behind them. When you work, bring your whole self to the task, no matter how small it seems. This is the essence of alchemy, treating each moment as sacred, each action as significant. But to live this way requires vigilance. The mind will resist, pulling you back into distraction, judgment, or busyness. This is natural. The key is to notice when this happens and gently return to the present. Think of this as a dance. You will step away, but you can always step back. Let me ask you another question. What would your life look like if every interaction, every task, and every moment were treated as sacred? How would this change the way you move through the world? One powerful tool for cultivating this mindset is gratitude. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a practice. Each evening, reflect on your day. What moments brought you joy, peace, or insight? What challenges taught you resilience or patience? By focusing on gratitude, you train your mind to see the sacred in all things. Now, let's consider the role of service in this alchemy. To live in the moment is not just to focus on yourself but also to extend presence to others. When you help someone, do so with full attention and an open heart. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, carry immense spiritual power when done with intention. Here's one final story. A wise teacher once gave his students a task. He asked them to find one mundane action they performed daily and turn it into a meditation. One student chose sweeping the floor. At first, he swept mechanically, thinking of it as a chore. But over time, he began to notice the rhythm of the broom, the texture of the floor, and the feeling of clearing away dirt. Sweeping became a sacred act, a metaphor for clearing the mind and heart. What mundane action in your life could you turn into a meditation? Washing dishes, folding laundry, walking to work, each holds the potential for transformation when approached with presence. As we conclude this journey, remember, alchemy is not about changing what you do but how you do it. It is about infusing life with awareness, intention, and reverence. The mundane becomes sacred, and the ordinary reveals its extraordinary beauty. Now, let me ask you one final question. What will you do differently, starting today, to embrace this alchemy? How will you turn the moments of your life into treasures? With this wisdom, the journey of presence and surrender does not end, it begins anew. In every moment. Thank you for walking this path with me. May you find clarity, joy, and peace in the sacredness of your everyday life.